I really think one of the reasons it took so long for America to get into One Piece is not just because it looks goofy or because it's kind of slow in the beginning. I think the revolutionary aspect of it is an inherent part. When you're in the evil empire, when you're in the world government, it's a little hard to look at a show like this being like, hey, that evil empire you guys are in, it's kind of shitty, don't you think?
Welcome to the Day Chaser podcast. I'm Charles.
And I'm Alex.
And today this is a very special episode. Today we're talking about One Piece.
We're going to talk about drugs? Is this your intervention on me? Sorry. I couldn't resist that joke.
If the devil fruit counts as drugs, then yes, we're talking about One Piece. Oh my goodness. And on this episode, not only are we talking about One Piece, but we have a very special guest. He's a friend of the podcast. He has become a very good friend of mine, and he has been a friend of Alex's for a while, and he just recently got introduced to me, and I'm so glad that he's here because he is actually walking us into the gate that is One Piece. He's walking us into this world. We are having on the podcast today, Lawson.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, Day Chaser fam. I'm Lawson, aka Lawson Phoenix. You can find me. I've got a podcast about Dragon Ball called Ballin' Out Super. But my favorite anime of all time is indeed One Piece. I've been following it since I was 16 years old. More than half my life. So I've dated myself. Yeah. And are you guys ready? Because it's all there in one place, baby. It's time to go on an adventure.
Lawson the podcaster, before his execution, said you can find all my episodes at the end of the Grand Line.
I left them all there in one place, baby.
One pod. That's what this is now.
Da-na, da-na-na.
So Alex,
hopes and dreams.
Alex, why don't you let the viewers know? By the way, should we start calling the viewers the Day Chasers? Is that a thing we should do?
That sounds rad.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm a day chaser now.
There you go. This is the introduction.
One down already.
Yeah.
Alex, why don't you tell the viewers exactly what is the theme for this episode?
Sure. So One Piece, we all know it's very, very long. It is the War and Peace of anime. But like War and Peace, a lot of people don't understand that if they actually started it, they would get hooked pretty soon. Because it's really, really good. And what I think is really interesting about One Piece and what makes it very inviting for people like Charles and I, particularly in this political climate, to start it, is One Piece has a liberationist, revolutionary, like resist at all costs kind of attitude toward it. Understands the directionality of oppression, and it really understands that you are not free until everybody is free, and that's why Luffy would free Palestine. So
yeah. Hell yeah, Luffy would free Palestine. No doubt, on God. Yeah, and I think but a lot of people don't understand because One Piece it draws you in, right? It like draws you in with this very cartoonish, over the top, goofy aesthetic that Oda definitely had in his one of his younger days when he was designing the early episodes of One Piece, and that was because Oda, like many of us, loved Dragon Ball. Grew up on Dragon Ball and looked up to Akira Toriyama, Sensei, Sama-kun, and he wanted to make a Dragon Ball-like journey adventure on the high seas with pirates. And the reason he picked pirates was fuck the world government. That's why. Because
I just put it together right now that he must have been on some level reading Dragon Ball going, I love Goku, but why does he never punch a cop? Can we get him to punch a cop?
Not to the Red Ribbon Army. He wants to get to that right away. Yeah. He's like, what if the whole thing was Goku beating up the Red Ribbon Army? It's like, oh, you know what? That's my show.
Oh, he loved that Red Ribbon Army, that Red Ribbon Army arc in Dragon Ball. He was obliterating whole armies worth of cops. That was a good day. Those are simpler times.
Those are great times.
Yeah, because if you're a consumer of shonen anime, like they're all very kind of sweet and positive. Like the message of Dragon Ball is like, if you work hard enough, you can be the best you, but the message of One Piece is like, you should be a leftist terrorist. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you know what's that kid? Anarchism. Believe it. Like,
yeah. There's actually a bunch of anime memes that are like that. It's like, it'll be like, Naruto's like, never give up. And Goku's like, keep working hard. And Luffy's just like, there's a systemic oppressive government that oversees you and everything you do. And the only way to overthrow it is to band together with other people who've been abused by it, other misfits, and to form some kind of coalition or collective or crew maybe. And with your combined efforts, that's the only way you're going to overtake them. And then it'll be like, food wars, like cooking or whatever. That'll be so. Yeah, it's One Piece. I'm very fortunate that I started reading One Piece when I was a teenager, and I've gotten to grow up alongside it, and it's informed a lot of, the way my outlook on the world. It's probably one of the most important pieces of media and art to me, as a person, because of where it started and where it's headed and where it is now, where to see such an insane impact it's having to the point where it is a literal. The Straw Hat flag is a literal, in real world, sign of standing up against oppression.
Yes.
It's a sign of revolution for real.
It has literally become a symbol for real world resistance. That's pretty beautiful, honestly. That leads us to the first point that we're gonna go over. You are not free unless everyone is free. That is the overall philosophy of One Piece. What do you guys think of that idea? The general philosophy of One Piece.
So, Monkey D. Luffy, one of the things about him, why he's one of the best protagonists in Shonen, is because his dream to be the Pirate King is not because he wants to be the king that, wants all this status. He doesn't want status. He doesn't care about that. It is because he wants to be the freest man on the seas.
Wow.
But what he always says about this is, it doesn't matter if I can be Pirate King unless I can share this freedom with everybody.
Yeah.
And that is why Luffy doesn't think in political terms the way we do, but he's essentially an anarcho-communist. He shares everything. He believes in sharing everything.
Yeah.
And he also will get mad at people who engage in the game of piracy. How do I put this? He will get mad at people who engage in the game of piracy, but not on their terms. Meaning, like, if you decide to become a pirate, it means you have cast aside the state. You said, I don't believe in the state. I'm an anarchist. I'm in now an anarchist battle royal. And so if you do that, that's fine. But don't then pretend like the state. Don't then also be like, oh, I'm actually also a member of the state, right? That's the type of pirates that Luffy hates the most. Are people that try to like have their cake and eat it too.
Oh, it's how I'm an anarchist, but I hate libertarians. It's like,
right.
Yeah, the government should be small, but not like that. Don't step on me, shit.
Yes. That's why the pirates who like terrorize citizens to Luffy are scum, because that's not what they're in a pursuit of freedom. They're not in a pursuit of harming other people. And this is why Luffy's thing is that he goes around and beats up other pirates, as well as the corrupt Marines.
The sensible choice. So Luffy. It's interesting you said that. So Luffy, from his perspective, isn't exactly political on purpose, but he does believe in a code that puts him in opposition to the politics that are destroying the world around him in various ways.
Yes. This being the pirates who are all like the destructive pirates, as well as the corrupt members of the world government. Which, like, even if you're not a corrupt member of the world government, right, you're still a cop, right? You're still upholding the system that is oppressing everybody, and you need to get punched. And that's what Luffy's there to punch those people. And that's why every member of Luffy's crew, and we see this going through the thing. Every member of his crew is somebody who, like him, has seen the injustices in the world and wants to make it better, but they are too good of a person, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves to try to make the world better. And one of Luffy's things is he saves these people from themselves, from this martyrdom that they're trying to do to themselves, by allowing them to admit that they also want freedom and are worthy enough to be free, as well.
So he kind of like, so Luffy, in a way, he inspires self-preservation in the people who have been oppressed to a point where either they have lost it or they're just in opposition, like their nature as being decent people make it difficult for them to want to participate in these in this resistance in the first place.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really relatable, I'm not gonna lie. Especially for like the times that we live in right now, where like most of us, I mean, I don't, nobody really goes out just looking for oppressive, like, or the dangerous situations like that, unless you have an interesting pathology. But a lot of us, we just want to live lives without being bothered. But it's very difficult to do that when you're living in the world coexisting with people who are greedy and want to take things from you, and then some of them get billions of dollars and then try to do it.
Yes.
I also think it's interesting that like I said, one of the beautiful things about One Piece is that, yeah, there's a million arcs and characters to learn, but the emotional kind of underlying principle is pretty simple. It's like, it's not that hard to not be a jerk, and you should, all it sometimes takes is one person to remind you of that before people start coming together. And it kind of speaks to the fact that, like we said, Luffy doesn't think in political terms, but his existence is very political because he just knows what's right and acts on it. It's like, you can argue till you're blue in the face with somebody who knows a million leftist theories and communists. Have you read this text in German? No, I haven't. I just know that what I'm seeing is bad, and sometimes the simplest answer is just there. And it's good to know theory and whatnot, but it also speaks to the fact that, like, action means more than studying on a lot of levels. And it's sometimes the kid who's never read a book but is just based punches a cop with his rubber fist, and you're like, yep, that's the most basic thing that's ever happened, and it was the simplest too. He doesn't even. It's like his mind is such that he doesn't need political theory. He just is moral. He is political theory. Like I said, his existence is political because of what he's willing to do and how simply and clearly he sees morality, that he's just like, yep, everybody hates Luffy because he's that good a person.
Well, Luffy seems to be operating from principles.
Yes.
In general.
He's got a moral spine which freaks any organization out because they don't have it.
Well, and
he has ideals that he won't back down from no matter what.
Yes.
And that's exactly
integrity
the issue.
Is scary.
There you go.
Yes.
He has such he's so militant about his integrity and his principles, and he has the power to defend them. Like that.
Yes.
That if you've experienced any kind of oppression, whether directly or learned in various scales, the one thing that people who are trying to oppress other people hate is somebody with integrity, principles, and the will and power to stand up to defend them and live them out.
Yeah. And it speaks to how messed up the world of One Piece and our world is, that a little boy said, I have to become a literal king in this anarchist battle royale that is the race for the One Piece, which is that's what it is, basically. In order for me and my friends to just be free. That is what drives Luffy to become strong. It is, the shonen trope of protecting his friends, yes, but not just but beyond that, he understands that he exists in a world with an oppressive regime that will always come after him and his friends unless he is strong enough to protect it. And there are pirates in One Piece that they have carved out their own families and worlds by attaining strength and clout status, as it were. And Luffy, that is what he aspires to be. Not just that, but go beyond that and free everybody. Because in the beginning of the show, there's these 4 pirate emperors, basically, but they are what they sound like. They're emperors. They're basically the 4 pirates that get to chill and not get bothered by the world government because they're so strong.
Wow.
But that's not good enough for Luffy. It's not good enough that it's just him and his crew. He's trying to liberate everybody.
Yeah.
And he, one island at a time within the show.
There's a concept we talk about in Jeet Kune Do called the dissolving stage of learning, where it starts with partiality, which is you're learning it and you're a little all over the place, and then the abiding stage, which is you refine it and you get better at it, but it's still not perfect. And then the dissolving stage is it's just part of you, like walking. The principle has been completely consumed by your being, so that it just acts through you the way it should act through you. And that's kind of how I see Luffy, in that he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't need theory and study and stuff. He's just like, there's a cop who's oppressing my friends, I should do something. Like, it is so inherent, his integrity is so strong that he can't have a thought that would go against it. And it sounds like easy writing, but it's really not. It's really beautiful and simple, I think.
It's that's the beauty of One Piece, is that it is simple, as my friend Zach Snow likes to say. Shout out to the homie if he's listening to this, watching this. You can read One Piece at a 5th grade reading level, you can read it at a college reading level, or whatever, and the story still works. The story works for kids because the morality is very simple to understand. And Luffy's dumb. This is again a shonen trope, going back to Goku, obviously, being an idiot. Luffy's low intelligence, but he's very high wisdom.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things about Luffy, and this happens really early on in the show, the first major arc where he has to assemble his crew and save one of his crewmates, Nami, who is one of the most important characters in the whole series. And he doesn't... So, there's a character who's like, hey, do you want to hear our sad backstory as to why this island is fucked up? And Luffy's like, nah, not really, and he walks off. And then, and then this character tells us, the audience, and some of the other characters, so we know. But Luffy, the audience knows more than Luffy about this world. Like, Luffy he literally says, nah, I'm not really interested, and he walks off. Literally does not listen to this backstory. And when Nami comes to him in her time of need, and this is like one of the first iconic scenes in the show, she goes to him, and Nami's a very complicated character who basically, she's going through trauma from being poor because her mom died from not having enough money, and that's what she grew up with. And she's one of these people who she's trying to martyr herself to save her village and free her village,
right? Because
she's got a good heart, but she never wanted to rely on anybody for any of this or ask for help because she didn't want to be weak, right? She didn't want to. Her mom died because because she was weak and she didn't have enough money to save her mom, so she wanted to do it herself.
Well, she had poverty trauma. Yeah, like it's yes. Like anybody that grew up very, very poor. It's like poverty. Yeah. Poverty is traumatic. Like it actually, there have been studies where they've found that poverty affects you on a neurological level, where it can actually destroy you that deeply. So, I mean, it's just amazing that One Piece touched on that, because on one hand, like, you don't really, it's like the whole Luffy paradigm of you don't need theory to understand what's wrong with the world, you really just need principle. One Piece touched on the fact that poverty will destroy you down to your core, if possible, and it could quite literally kill you. If it doesn't do so by starving you out or keeping you from having shelter, it'll just kill you because your willpower dies.
Yeah, and what's interesting, I think, about Nami is because she's so dead set on like protecting her village from the Arlong pirates by joining them. It's like she has made herself this kind of sacrificial lamb, not because she wants to suffer, but because she thinks she has to. And that is a narrative that oppressive worlds will teach you, that like, well, if everyone's going to be free, someone has to die, kind of. And what Luffy's power is to go to her and go, no, like Luffy's essential message is not me, us, like Bernie Sanders kind of a thing. Yeah. And so like Nami is convinced that she needs to bleed so that others can be, like, she has an individualistic attitude, not in a Republican sense, but in a she can't kind of fathom the collective movement the way, because she lives in a world that is so designed to spread everybody apart, like ours and like the world of One Piece.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Luffy kind of like, his power there is he is disabusing her of that notion of like, you don't need to go to the gallows so that your family can be free. We can just join together and fight them together. And that's like,
Yeah.
literally, it's he's fighting the narrative that it has been propagandized to her, so that she knows she doesn't have to do all this to herself. That's part of what power wants to do is, oh, you're gonna stand up and fight? Well, you're gonna die in the process. It's a scare tactic on some level.
And the other thing I love about Oda and the way he portrays groups of people is the common people. There's a lot of media out there that's like very harsh on people, I feel like. And the way Oda writes basically common folk in groups is always very warm. And I feel like, so when the village finds out that Nami plans to sacrifice herself to get rid of Arlong, right? And they're not having this. They're like, we, under no circumstance are we going to allow Nami, one of our precious, comrades, basically. They don't use that word, but we're not going to let someone from our village die for the rest of us. And they literally march to Arlong Park first to what would have been their deaths if Luffy was not there. Arlong would have absolutely massacred everybody for sure, but Luffy was there, and Nami in a very beautiful vulnerable moment asks him to help her.
Oh,
and that's honestly, I know like it's really easy to read this, not easy because most people love this moment, but I'm sure there's some people who read this as like, I can't believe the female lead had to ask this dude for help or whatever. But that's a very shallow reading of this moment, because
Bechtel
if you look at
failed.
right. Because if you look at Nami's character, like the whole thing is that she never wanted to ask anyone for help, whether it be Luffy or her own sister or anybody, or even the head of the village, right? She was doing all this to protect them, and so Luffy brought out of her the ability for her to ask for help. And that's a really important thing to teach people, that it's okay to do. Because a lot of people will just suffer in silence and not be willing to ask for help when they need it. And so that's really important, especially to teach young people, I think. So
I heard I was doing research on Day Chaser stuff on Instagram, and I came across this lovely post that you just reminded me of when it came to Nami. Someone broke down the idea of attachment styles as having 3 types that are based on 2 elements. That being the first element being, am I safe? And the second one being, do I matter? And depending on the combination of yes and no that you have, it'll like change the personality. It described your attachment style as a neural pathway for all decisions and perspective. So one of the attachment styles was do I matter? Yes. Am I safe? No. And it leads to the kind of individualism that Nami expresses, where she feels like she needs to be honestly, the I may be mixing up the attachment style formula, but anyway, she becomes an archetype for being willing to self-sacrifice so deeply, even allying herself with the most negative possible forces in order to save the people that matter to her most, because it's the people that she loves and the land that she loves. But she has trouble asking for help, which is a direct symptom of her personality type. So it's much more layered than it seems, which it makes sense that Oda was a Dragon Ball Z fan, because Dragon Ball Z is like that, where Dragon Ball Z is deceptively very layered. And like my wife, for example, she was not a fan of anime at all, because she just grew up in a region of the world where like her associations with it were negative, and then she had like the most toxic anime fans. But then I introduced her to Dragon Ball Z, and I told her, yeah, them screaming their hair blonde is stupid, but that's not what you're supposed to be paying attention to. Gohan hates fighting so much, and his rage was something he despised about himself, and his father spent a year bonding with him just to help him integrate something he thought was negative into his being, so that he could ascend to a whole other level of existence. And he's on fire, but
they do be screaming.
Yeah.
Screaming gold men abound on that show. But
yes, essentially you're watching an overly muscular teenager punch a cicada man in the face to death, but it's deeper than that. And One Piece has that same kind of ridiculous packaging with hiding the depth behind it. And that's like the thing that happened with Nami. It was layered. Luffy gave Nami his hat after establishing that he nobody could even touch his hat. First of all, they call him the Straw Hat Pirate. Like, he's known for this hat, and he gives her the hat. Then the moment, and in that same moment, Nami chooses to ask for help, which is something that she honestly didn't want to do. I mean, if I recall correctly, wasn't there a whole section where she returned to the village and was trying to get everybody to believe that everything was okay, and they saw straight through it, that she definitely needed the help that she wasn't asking for? Like, that is such a powerful thing.
She put on a brave face because she couldn't bear to tell everybody that she had been honestly tricked and abused by Arlong for like a decade.
Yeah.
And again, it started when she was 8. Like, this is I can't. None of this is her fault. She was a child who was taken advantage of by this pirate. This ruthless pirate, since she was a child, and she's obviously traumatized, and she couldn't bring herself in that moment to tell her village the truth. But they did see through it because, again, Oda writes his villagers generally with a lot of, from a positive perspective, usually, which I appreciate.
Are you guys familiar with a concept called elite panic?
No, but that sounds fascinating. What is that?
Okay, so elite panic is the idea that when you get rich, or those who have always been rich or whatever, tend to assume that every human being is within like 20 seconds of just eating each other's faces. And the reason why they believe that is either because they stepped on a bunch of people to get rich, or they feel the vulnerability of having too much in a society that needs more redistribution. So they invent this fairy tale of like, everyone wants to take my gold, kind of a thing.
Oh,
and you
dragon hoarding.
Yes,
they become the dragon,
essentially.
Yeah.
And so like businesses that, there's a story about a business, like a supermarket that was on fire, and they wouldn't let people out until they paid for the groceries that they had in their hand. Like, it's insane shit. The reason why I bring that up is because if you actually the cops and the government, a lot of what we have in place for like natural disasters is essentially, they're like, well, everyone's gonna start committing crimes and eating each other, and then we're gonna throw a gas bomb in the riot. Like, they're assuming that the people are their enemy because they're an oppressive force, and that's how they think. But if you really study incidents from history where like hardcore disasters have happened, people band together in these weird little progressive communes and just do beautiful things. And whenever someone like, I don't think Attack on Titan's author thinks good of the human spirit, but I think Oda does, and you can feel that because he understands the directionality of power, and what people do in groups is often positive. Like, when during Katrina, when people were like, oh, look at them looting the stores, that food was going to be drowned in water and go bad anyway. People are starving and they're sitting on their roof. This is just them trying to care for their neighbors, but the system doesn't want it to be seen that way. So point being, I think it's really cool that Oda is taking this attitude of like, you know what, your neighbors are there for a reason, and you shouldn't be afraid of them, because ultimately they want to be there for you if you actually need them to be. That communities are more powerful than narratives. Is kind of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And oppressive narratives, I should say.
You're completely right. There's when things go wrong, and when things are bad, a lot of times communities of people will always come together. People in groups only do bad things when they also have power over the people, generally. That's when they do like conspiracies and all the other bad stuff we see.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
That leads us to the next point, actually. What do you guys think Luffy's true superpower is? We spoke about this a little bit on the pre-conversation of his true superpower being empowerment, and I know that there's been a recent update in the One Piece universe where they reveal exactly how his powers work. I don't want to spoil that, but it's kind of tied to this a little bit, because Luffy meeting people in their moment of hopelessness and insisting, based on his own principles and ideals, that they have a new way to live life. Like, he empowers them by giving them a new reason to be alive. In Robin's case, by literally making her say it. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I'm not gonna lie. One Piece is kind of slow to start for a guy like me. And it's not the show's fault. I just I don't have as much free time. Like, I'm a dad. I got stuff going on, so I can only watch anime on like one of my screens while I'm working. But when I finally met Robin among the episodes, that the series really started to lock in the hook. So I mean, like, it really started to catch me when it came to that, because Luffy's ability to empower people, for me, is such a beautiful thing. What do you guys think of that?
First off, I've seen very little One Piece, and the episodes we watched for this were a little all over the place and out of context. I didn't need any, because when Luffy said, "I want to hear you say I want to live," and she did, I cried. It got me. I didn't need any backstory, really. I was like, this is so beautiful.
Nami asking Luffy to help her is, I think, the first big iconic emotional moment in One Piece. I always tell people, like, you gotta watch through Arlong Park. Before, don't give it One Piece until you watch through Arlong Park, at least.
Yeah.
There's some other great emotional moments along the way, but I think the big one that a lot of people remember is Enies Lobby, which is, in my opinion, still the best anime arc of all time. Where this character, Nico Robin, she does not think she should be alive anymore, and there's a whole backstory reason for that. Long story short, her whole people were genocided because her people were the ones who had this information about the history of the government. One Piece is so long, we still don't know what that history is as of recording this. There's a lot of ideas, but we still don't know exactly what it is. We have some ideas, there's theories, but she knows the true history of that the government is trying to hide. And so they've been going after her since she was, again, a child, like 8 or something. And every organization she's joined just to survive, she has realized that she is just a tool to them, and she has been using them just to try to survive and stay away from the world government, right?
Yeah.
Until she meets the Straw Hat Pirates. And these are people who take her in and give her unconditional love and unconditional support and positive regard. And these are the people that she decides. She spent her whole life running, but refusing to die because her death would mean that her whole island's death was in vain. Right? So she couldn't let that happen. Until she met the Straw Hat Pirates, who she thought, these people I can die now if it's to help these people. These people mean enough to me that I'm willing to now sacrifice myself so that they can be free. And Luffy says, so One Piece does this thing with this is again where the anime community they love to power scale stuff, and they all get messed up in their head or whatever, and it's annoying. And I love some toxic power scaling myself, but there's a real narrative way.
I love that term.
It's fun. That's how I see it. It's just ultimately fruitless, and we should all go outside.
It's not. It's dumb and kind of waste of time, but it's fun, right? It's like eating, candy for breakfast.
It's a cookie for dinner type of a.
I'm an adult, so I'm allowed to do it, but you shouldn't do it. I shouldn't just wake up and eat a bar of Hershey's in the morning. But sometimes I want to know, could Gojo beat Goku? He can't. Anyway, so when Luffy, when the character, not just Luffy, when any character in One Piece does not have their ideals in mind, when they're not fully, their heart's not in it. Yeah. They are weaker. They're always weaker. And this is like a thing Oda has even talked about. This is not my headcanon. I'm not making this up. This is a true point of the narrative. Is characters are always stronger when they are full of when their morale is strong.
Yeah.
And so Luffy fights against this group. Luffy and Zoro, the two strongest guys that we know, fight against this evil group, and they get washed. They get absolutely washed. And that's because they think Robin has betrayed them. And they're really confused. And we as the viewers are confused. We're like, why is Robin doing this? Why has she betrayed our heroes? And they get rinsed. Until Nami comes by, because Nami, again, the GOAT. She comes by and she tells Luffy and Zoro, hey, Robin didn't actually betray us. She's trying to die for us. And Luffy was like, the fuck did you say? And he pushes a building apart. And Zoro cuts through an entire building. It's an incredible moment. And that leads to a whole chase where they chase her down and they confront the villainous group on the roof here. Which is the episode you guys saw.
Yes.
Where, again, first of all, Usopp shoots down... Sorry, not Usopp. Soj King, Sniper King, shoots down a government flag. Okay, this was like in 2008.
Primetime Obama, you didn't shoot at flags. You saluted them.
Yeah. This guy shoots a flag down, and then he declares war on the world government. And yeah, he says to Robin, I need to hear you say it. Say you want to live. And the reason Luffy needs to hear this is not just, it is for Robin's sake for sure, but it's also because he knows once his crew hears that, they're gonna wreck these guys. They're gonna wreck this villainous group. And honestly, it's one of the most beautiful things to have her happen in media. Honestly, I would go that far. I love that scene so much.
It's an
and Robin is a
it's so beautiful. And it's like what we were saying about Luffy before, that because he acts fully, he is just integrity incarnate. Like, the reason why his superpower isn't like, yeah, he can do, he's stretchy boy, sure, but his real power is going like, you're better than that, and then people go, you're right, I am, and then they all like form a commune. That's way more impressive than being Mr. Fantastic, you know?
Yeah. And he makes them bring it out of themselves.
Yes.
Right? He doesn't just like, he doesn't do the thing where he just like, he doesn't do it for you. He never does that.
No.
He's like, he's like, he's kind of like Tyrion Lannister. He's really good at understanding what people really want.
Yeah.
Right? And Tyrion just like would, in Game of Thrones, Tyrion would just ask people, which is smart. But Luffy has a weird thing, like he has this weird high wisdom thing where he knows what people really want, but he needs them to say it themselves, and then that's when he can help them. That's when he can actually.
He's got really high emotional int. If we put this in
somehow, yeah, it's really high.
Yeah,
it's unclear how we got that, but
he has an amazing ability to read people. But then it seems like he's drawn to, or at least the people he recruits into his crew. Every single one of them has a desire about them that they are denying. And he does not like it when people deny that, because maybe from what I'm seeing, Luffy sees these people as denying their true selves and all the things about them that make them decent and good, and this denial is putting them on the path of dying. Like in so many, like every single one of these characters, they're almost like about to die, or it like on the path to getting themselves hurt or killed every time he meets them. And when he realigns them, that's the word I'm looking for. He realigns them, he puts them back into synergy with their true selves. And then all the strength that they had comes out, but because in a way it's like they were hiding from it. And that's also very relatable, because if I don't know, like I've definitely had moments where whatever positive things that existed within me, I didn't feel safe to admit to or live up to, because I didn't feel safe for it to be responded to correctly. Like you get punished for being your full self. You're going to eventually develop a trauma response where you think, if I am my full self in front of everybody, then my life is going to be literally destroyed. And that happened happens constantly in One Piece. And Luffy is like, in a way, like that's what's interesting about Luffy, because he's not really politically motivated in a very direct way. He's indirectly like a a radical, a political radical, because what he's really rebelling against is people denying the truth of who they are. He hates that, and he's rebelling against that, and he's resisting that. So the thing that he's really pirating is like he's like invading invading their minds to unlock the treasure of their own souls and giving it back to them.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Luffy, you know how in like Dragon Ball Z they have the little Saiyan half glasses that tells you the power level? I feel like he looks,
yes, the Scouters.
He has one of those but it's like his potential autonomy, it's over 9,000. Like he sees the parts of you that you aren't listening to, and like you said, realigns it. Like if you live in a society that values working yourself to death and being like everybody else and not having a community, or God forbid if you're in a family that's abusive whenever you act like yourself because they don't want you to be your full self, because if you are, then you might leave the abusive family. He can see all of that, and you get if you are under one of those oppressive families or systems or jobs or whatever, you have this latent fear that you're like, if I let my guard down and I'm just me, everyone will leave. But what One Piece says is, when you let your guard down and you are you, that's when people find you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when he meets Zoro,
yes,
his first mate, it's like the second episode of the show.
Yes.
His traveling mate at the time, Kobe's like, "Oh my god, that Zoro guy! I hear he's like a demon." And Luffy's like, "I gotta meet him myself. I'll know. I'll meet him myself," because he doesn't buy this propaganda.
Yeah.
And hilariously, there's a lot of propaganda about Luffy and the Straw Hats later in the show, which is one of the funniest things about it, because you look at Luffy as this goofy kid, heart of gold, but everybody in the world thinks he's like some kind of demon, because that's what the world government says about them. But so that's what they said about Zoro. There's like this demon guy, swordsman, cut down a noble's kid or whatever. Well, what's that? Well, he's a monster. And Luffy meets him, and he's just like, "Hey, so what's your deal?" And he's like, "Well, it was like a kid that was hungry, so I cut the guy that was taking the food away from him." And Luffy's like, "Okay, I'm gonna free you and give you your swords, because I don't believe in. I can already tell just from meeting you. I can tell that you're not this thing that everybody else said you were." And this is like a pattern when he meets his crewmates, because when he Tony Chopper, the doctor of the crew.
Yes.
At the end of the Drum Island arc, Chopper thinks of himself as a little monster because he's a deer that ate the human fruit. So he's got the intelligence of a human but the body of a deer, and so he's a monster. That's what he thinks of himself as. And to him, a monster could never travel with someone as great as Luffy and the Straw Hats.
Right.
And so when Luffy's about to depart the island, he's like, "Well, you're on my crew now, but dear." And Chopper's like, "Well, I could never join a crew like you guys because you guys are really awesome," or whatever. And he starts like doing the whole blabbering thing, where he's like, "But maybe someday you guys can come visit or whatever." And the greatest delivery ever, Luffy yells, "Shut up, let's go."
I mean, it's like that though, because like,
yeah,
you could talk yourself out of the things you deserve.
Yeah,
and that's
you can talk yourself out of anything.
Yeah, like that's what makes Luffy really he's really growing on me. I really want to finish the whole series for real, because Luffy it's like his superpower is empowerment. It's like he sees through all of your nonsense, all of your bullshit.
Yeah.
And he just gets to the point, even if he has to tell you to just shut up and stop engaging with these awful, toxic narratives, these cognito hazards, as I like to say, these bad ideas that you absorb and start to like turn into reasons not to give yourself the things that you deserve, or not to join up with the friends that you love, or whatever it is, like. And it's so like, because everybody's got a different problem like that, every single member of the crew, and they get crewed up when they crush that problem. And Luffy, like you said, Luffy doesn't do it for them. I mean, he can't. That's just how it works in life. You can only show them the door. It's up to them to walk through it.
Yeah.
But he like I said, he disabuses people of the negative stories they tell themselves. He basically says, "You can get out of your own way.
Yeah.
I believe you can get out of your own way. I want to hear you say it."
And it's like he's giving them permission to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's giving them permission. And the beauty of the thing with the Chopper moment is just the way he bulldozes Chopper's negative self-talk. He doesn't, like, he has a different approach with different people, right? Like, he makes Nami and Robin have to say it themselves, right? But with Chopper, he just bulldozes that negative self-talk, and it's just like, what are you talking about, dear? You're on my fucking crew. We're going out to sea. I'm not taking no for an answer.
Luffy's
that's
got
how
a way
much
better strike rate than
you.
Dr. Phil. Fuck that guy.
Oh my goodness.
Changing so many more lives.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
There's no bad babies as a result of Luffy. That much we can say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When Usopp was going to join, he was the same way, because Usopp is a similar, where he is the weakest guy on the crew, and he didn't think he was good enough to join up with Luffy and Zoro. And Luffy was like, "What are you talking about? We're friends, right? Just get on the ship. Get on the ship. What are you talking about? We're homies." And my favorite character in the show, it's between this character and Luffy, because Luffy's a great protagonist. But my favorite character is Sanji.
Sanji
some people might be
cool. I haven't experienced enough of Sanji, but he seems like a really pivotal key character.
Yeah, the thing is, he is the perv gag character.
Yeah.
In the crew, so that part gets annoying sometimes. Sometimes Zoro overdoes it with that. Again, it is still an older show, even though it's still going, but it's from the 90s.
Right.
But one thing I love about Sanji is his portrayal of masculinity. I think is so interesting. Because one of his things he considers himself like a chivalrous gentleman, right?
Yeah.
And he refuses to fight women. That's like one of his things. But he had a really tragic upbringing, with a really toxic family, who he doesn't like. But he's such a good guy. He still doesn't want to see harm come to them. And so he gets caught up in this whole political intrigue thing. This is pretty later in the show. But where he actually has to leave the crew for a little while.
Wow.
And Luffy hunts him down. And Sanji's like the 5th person to join. He's been in the crew forever, like in the show. So it's like crazy this happens. Luffy hunts him down, and once again he says to him, like, "Listen, do you really want to do this? Do you really?" Because Sanji, again, he's doing the same thing. He's fallen into the same trap that Nami and Robin fell into, where he's trying to martyr himself again.
Jeez.
And Luffy has to tell him, like, "Do you really want to do this? Tell me what you really want to do." And Sanji, through his tears, is like, "I want to go back to the crew." And their relationship expands like 800 episodes or something crazy. So it's yeah. So it can happen that Luffy's willing to do that for anybody, any one of his crewmates, and he does. Yeah.
You know that leads. Well, it partially leads, but Alex said something earlier that leads into the next point about resistance. One Piece kind of teaches you how to do it. It kind of teaches you how to resist oppression, because every single character has their own reasons for joining that crew, and they all become pirates based on their own motivations, driven specifically by them getting realigned with what matters most and their true selves, and all these wonderful, beautiful things about just being a human in this world that is struggling essentially that's being punished for being who they are. Like, they becoming pirates because they don't fit into the box that the world government is trying to force them into, so it could take advantage of them. Because it's not even because they're doing it on purpose. It's just their nature. And I think these days especially, is very relatable, because like there's some people in this world, like especially if you're the kind of person who doom scrolls on Instagram looking for new news or listening to your favorite like Instagram personality talk about what's happening in the world in terms of the wave of fascism we're currently under. Some of the more popular ones, a lot of them have a sense of fighting in them that comes natural to them, where they're very loud and boisterous, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a lot of us, we don't find fighting to be natural. However, our ideals and our existence, our very existence, can become a political target. And as a result of that, we are swept up, we are proxied in to resisting an oppression on existence alone. And that, so on 278, one of the episodes that you gave us to watch, this one hit me really hard. So one of the first thing, we're like not even 3 minutes in, and the first thing that the librarians do is they start throwing books out the window. And they said, save the books, all of this knowledge needs to be preserved, it's better off wet than burned down. And I'm like, that's the world, that's right now. Like there's a woman in Seattle that I just recently discovered who says that she has a very small library. She said that her mother taught her how to be a librarian and things like that. She said that there are books that they don't print anymore that are super rare that she only gives to people if she feels that they are worthy of them, because the knowledge in them is so sacred. And like books are being banned left and right, like, you know, but I'm black, so like books on black history and just books telling the whole truth, not the truth that's going to serve the oppressive forces that are trying to destroy our lives. They are under threat. Knowledge itself is under threat. And if you're the kind of person that's not like, let me pick up a sword and join the front lines, you might be the kind of person that says, I love books. Maybe that was where you started before any of this oppressive stuff started. It's just, I love books. I love to read. A person like that gets proxied in to being a pirate in the eyes of oppressive forces like the world government. That's crazy. What do you guys think?
There's a lot of different ways to be. There's a lot of different ways to be a pirate.
Yes.
Like I remember I saw during the George Floyd uprising, there was someone I saw on Facebook that was like, you don't have to be like fighting on the front lines with us. You can throw protein bars out the window and we'll catch it. There's a lot of different ways to be on the right side of history.
Yeah, it's Robbins Island, O'Hara, was, those people were not quote unquote like, they were scholars. They were in pursuit of knowledge.
Right.
And they were massacred because they were pursuing, that's why they were massacred.
Because knowledge is terrifying to oppressive systems.
Because knowledge is political.
They want to skew reality that benefits them, but that's not how knowledge works.
Yeah. And they were purely seeking knowledge. They did not have an alternative agenda. Now, once they got the knowledge, maybe they would have, done something with it. In fact, I know they would have. But that's why they were targeted. Yeah, because... yeah, knowledge is, as my mom always said, knowledge is power, and it's the one thing that they can't take away from you. Which they can, but, you could... I didn't tell my mom that at the time, but yeah.
See,
they're trying, Ma.
One Piece is one of those shows where it really puts a spotlight on the idea of being apolitical. People who are just like, I'm apolitical, like I don't get involved in politics and stuff. It's like,
what are you, every woman on Bumble all of a sudden?
Yeah, right.
I've been seeing a lot of that and I hate it. Continue.
It's like it doesn't work like that. Like, to become political is to exist. It's to, if you are a human being on this planet, and especially if you get targeted, and especially if you get targeted for something that you just naturally do because that's who you are, or some trait that you can't control, or just something that you're passionate about, and the second that thing becomes a target for somebody else's oppression, guess what, bro? You in politics. Sorry, that's just how it works. That's how it works. Like me, because I'm black, so like just about everything I do is a point of politics. It's not because I want it to be. I would prefer to just walk down the street in the middle of the night and not have to worry about all the political implications of me doing that, and just get my chopped cheese and go home. But that's not how it works. because people will target your life and decide that it is a threat to their horrible goals. And that's why this scene with them throwing the books out of the library, I almost started crying off of it, because it gets that real. It gets that real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's telling, I think, like I said, of Oda's understanding of power, that there is an attempted book burning in One Piece. That, like,
yes.
And the term book burning gets thrown around a lot by people who don't understand it. They're like, oh, cancel culture just like burning books. Look at the pictures of the Nazis burning books. And no one seems to remember that famous picture of the Nazis burning that pile of books, those were gender studies and trans studies and, like, progressive books.
Yeah.
That's what they were. And it's not just, oh, well, someone had pushback for saying a thing. It's like, no, certain narratives and certain types of people and knowledge of those types of people and knowledge that could free anybody, God forbid, will be targeted by a system of oppression, because if you know too much, you're harder to control. So literally, they try to burn the great tomes of knowledge, and they have to throw them out of the window, like, it's better wet than burnt.
I mean,
because the government wants to see them burnt.
They literally burned down the tree of knowledge. They burned down a function of life that was also a symbol for knowledge.
Yes.
I mean, it's one of those moments where it's like, this ain't subtext no more. This is just text.
No.
This is your world.
It's text.
It's your life. Yeah. And if you choose to keep your eyes closed to it, you are adding to the problem, because all you've done is very politely step out of the way of the people that are trying to stab you in the back.
Inaction is still an action. If to choose to not resist is still is helping the oppressor.
Yeah.
It's inconvenient for people, but it doesn't stop it from being true.
I like to say being apolitical is just a shorter way of saying I don't read. And I'm like, you kind of just gave away the game, man. I don't get involved in any of that. Oh, how's that working out for you? Cool. Yeah. But your YouTube categories are very interesting.
And to people out there who maybe feel like, because I talk about this on my political show, on my leftist journey, shout out, plug, sometimes.
Lawson has lots of podcasts. He is his own podcast network.
I think it's like 6
I have
of them
so many.
At this point, I listen to all of them, so I keep track.
It's somewhere between like 6 and 9, depending on how you count it. But, so... Because even into my adulthood, I felt like... So in my early 20s, a good friend of mine, an older friend of mine, told me, when I said to him, like, oh man, I feel like I'm not very political. And I didn't say it in a way where I was, like, proud of it. I said it in a way where it was like, I don't know how to become political. Oh. And he said basically what we're saying here now, which is like, your existence is political. Like, think about that. Just realize that even if you don't think you're participating in the system, that's still, it exists. And there are people suffering under it all the time. He didn't go into that part. He didn't, like, chastise me or anything. He was just basically saying, he
was giving you some new
just think about that. Yeah, just think about the fact that even if you do nothing, the world will continue to happen. So at a certain point, what point is there to you not doing anything? And so the way I think about it now is that, because I've never read Marx, okay? But I watched this Immortal Technique interview that I thought was really crazy that he did with Abby Martin, like a few years ago, before Trump got reelected, but still could have been yesterday, where he said, like, he was saying, with all due respect to Karl Marx and all that, I don't need no white man to teach me and my people how to share. Like human beings were communal way before the word communist was invented, way before the term socialist was invented. It's just community existed way before Lenin and everybody. So, like, it's just, and that's what I think when I think, like, the way Luffy operates, right? It's like, obviously this dude doesn't fucking read. I don't know if Luffy knows how to read. I think he wrote 3 letters down once. But it really is a low barrier to entry. Like, once you just understand class and the way power works and what power does, and sometimes that can be harder to grasp for people, depending on where they've grown up or whatever. That's really the main thing. And what are you going to do now that you're armed with this knowledge? What are you going to do with it, right? You have That's the choice you got to make. And Luffy's is to free everybody in the world.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things he does is he punches a noble in the fucking face. And it's one of the best moments in the show.
Let's dive into that, because that's like Stonewall with the brick.
Yes.
That's
Luffy Mangione.
Yeah.
Yes, Luffy Mangione.
Can we just take a second to really just appreciate that moment? Let's just breathe it. Matter of fact, hold on. I'm gonna put the clip on the screen. Okay, I'm putting the clip up. Here we go.
Straw Hat Luffy. He's serious.
Now you're annoying me too!
That's just amazing.
God, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Good.
Imagine that people watch this show and then they question if it's political. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so the Celestial Dragons are cartoonish nobles. They're cartoonish one percenters. They wear those helmets so that they don't breathe the same air as other people, literally, right? And you might say, like, now for like whatever, when maybe when Obama was president or whatever, you might be like, oh, that's a little too cartoonish for me. Now, now you see what they're doing. Like that's what these people think.
Like that could happen. I wouldn't put it past some billionaire Bezos to be like, but what if I didn't have to breathe the same air as these people? He probably couldn't build the thing, but the thought could be there.
They did that.
Elon keeps trying to go to space or whatever. Oh yeah, Spaceballs.
They did that in Spaceballs when President Scroob had to can air because they were running out of air on his native planet, and they tried to steal air from Princess Vespa's planet. What was it? The name of the planet? Anyway, yeah, he literally had canned air. Like, he was cracking cans open of air, and then he was telling his crew they weren't running out of air. He was lying to his own people, and then breathing cans of air. That's nuts. Yeah.
Spaceballs 2 coming out soon.
Shout out to Mel Brooks.
Yeah, shout out to the legend. And so these guys, cartoonish world nobles, they're the one percenters of One Piece, and they shoot. Now, the person they shoot, by the way, this is a hate crime that this person commits, because now they can't, in this world, they can't quote unquote commit hate crimes because they are quote unquote world nobles. They can't commit crimes at all against anyone of a lower caste than them. But they shoot a fishman in the stomach, and this fishman was one of the people who helped subjugate our pal Nami's village, right? He was a former enemy, but he gets shot by this world noble, and Luffy is not, he's not having it, man. He's just not having it. And the way he punches this guy, it's one of the best punches in anime. It's just so good. And there's real repercussions for this. They send the strongest cop on Earth after him for that. Kizaru, one of my other favorite characters. One of my favorite cops in fiction. Kizaru. This man ate the light fruit, which means he is light. He moves. There's people that argue about if he's actually the speed of light. But for intents and purposes, he's the speed of light. And he shows up, and it goes badly for our heroes.
So he's basically a Green Lantern?
Yeah, he can make things out of light. He makes a sword out of light. Later, he moves.
Because the Green Lantern, they're space cops with light powers. Like, that's what they are.
Yes, he does.
They got a whole oath they gotta do and stuff.
Yeah.
He has an awesome Mercenary Tao-esque introduction where he rides in on a cannonball to the island. That's how he arrives. It's really sick. He's a big ore farmer. Kizaru.
He came in like a wrecking ball? Is that what you're telling me?
He comes in like a wrecking ball. Yeah, someone said the clip.
Break your walls, Luffy.
Yeah. He's a fascinating character also, Kizaru. He's my favorite Marine in the show. But so they send that guy after them for punching. Now, again, I gotta remind you, this guy shot somebody, right?
Yeah.
And his punishment was getting punched in the face. and they sent the strongest cop in the world after the guy that did that. Because that's the system they live under.
But it's not a political show, Lawson. It's not political at all.
It's not political.
It's about how Boy is stretchy and being a pirate looks fun. That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
It's just good fun.
Stretchy Boy.
Ignore the politics.
Just wonderful fun.
Yeah, just look at the stretching. Ignore the politics.
It's not political. No.
It's not political. Pirates are never political. I don't know who told you that.
No.
I don't know who told you that.
Dear
Stop
God.
looking at that map of Somalia. Pirates are never political.
Like, some of them were actually endorsed by governments to be privateers and steal things for certain governments as well. Which, by the way, One Piece does. That's a thing in One Piece. There's pirates that are essentially that. They're endorsed
there
by
are
the
pirates
government.
who are government agents?
They're endorsed. They are government-endorsed pirates. They are known as the Seven Warlords of the Sea. Their job is to make sure the other pirates don't get out of line.
So it's kind of...
I love that idea because it's like how certain governments will let like one of the reasons Hamas exists is because the Israeli government wanted to destabilize the region, so they're like, well, we'll let that group take a little bit of power and it'll all collapse, and then it just becomes a stronger thing. So it's like, oh yeah, it's like how you see cops will either, a lot of them will be part of white supremacist Facebook groups, or they will just tolerate those people at protests because they want them to fuck up the protesters, or be a problem at all because they want to get all the resistance weak enough that once they get there, it's not as big a problem.
Yeah, it justifies their next actions.
Yeah, and also makes you less of a threat. So
it also kind of reminds me of did you guys see Lord of War, the Nicolas Cage movie?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I don't think I did actually.
It's one. I'll send it to you, Lawson. It's a very good movie. So Nicolas Cage plays this guy by the name of Yuri Orlov, who that's not his real name. He's based on a real life character who is referred to as the Merchant of Death, who was literally an arms dealer that was operational all over the world. But I think his headquarters was the U.S. and he would literally just sell guns to people all over the world. And by the end of the movie, because throughout the movie, it's kind of like it's almost like an extended video essay in its own way, because it explains to you why people like this are allowed to exist. But at the end of the movie, Nicolas Cage explains that he is a necessary evil because of the things that are happening in the government that people do not know and do not want to know, that are actually allowing some of these countries to exist. And one of those ways is to monger war and to create wars and initiate all of these horrible things all around the world, because it's the way that they justify basically stealing from people.
Yeah.
So these guys are what are they called? The Seven Pirate?
The Seven Warlords of the Sea.
Yes, they remind me of like the Merchants of Death. I mean, is that essentially what they are in One Piece? So it's interesting. So
ostensibly, they are government-endorsed pirates, meaning they are basically just pirates.
They're class
who
traders.
The government won't. They are completely class traders, and they're in fact called by other people in the show dogs of the world government. They are literally called that. They're literally called dogs. But the reason they got there is because all of them, they got to be almost emperors, but not quite. They're all like strong enough to almost be emperors, but not quite. But they can bully all the other pirates, right? They can bully young up-and-comers like the Straw Hats or anybody else who gets out of line. And they can be big fish in small ponds. And they work for the government, too, because, A, that's more pirates they're not fighting against the government, right? They're fighting with them, in fact. And, B, their military power, basically, helps curtail not just the smaller pirates, but also makes it so that those emperors don't get too, uppity. Because, maybe we'll call all the warlords to come fight you also. Wow. If you start getting out of your lane, Wow. Because at the end of the day, it's like the four emperor pirates, they're in their own, they have their own territory.
Yeah.
But they can't go against the world government directly. And one of the big reasons for that is because they have the warlords. These seven... Yeah, they're sellouts. They're seven class traders. Now, here's the thing. The first ones we meet, they're all bad guys, but then we meet some of them later. You kind of understand why they did it. It's a really interesting aspect of it, Essentially, one of them is basically like Martin Luther King. I mean, it's kind of
Oh my god!
I was not expecting that name.
I mean, like it's because it's amnesty, right? It's amnesty that these people get, and so they make deals with the world government to grant amnesty sometimes to like their people. I'll just put it that way. And I'm probably, you know what? It's probably not a great comparison I just made. He's not really like Martin Luther King, so you probably edit that part out. But but I'll just there basically he's more like somebody who stuttered under the Martin LutherKing of the verse. But anyway, some of them have better reasons than others, is what I will say, and that's when we see the intersectionality of power, because one of the warlords is a fishman who the reason he joins he does the thing that Luffy saves all these people from doing. He martyrs himself. He's like, I will become a warlord in order to save my people, the fishermen, right? So you leave the fishermen alone,
right?
And you can use me as your pawn, right? And there's another character who does it for her own island. She has like an island of women, and she's like, you just leave my ladies alone, and I'll be your soldier, right? I'll bend the knee to you. So there's like shades of gray, even in this organization that you'd think would be all bad guys,
So essentially, some of these people decide to work for the government because they are kind of like a shield for their own personal people against the very government.
And they're doing the thing that
agents.
Yes, they're martyring themselves again, which Luffy again, saves one of them from at least.
It seems like we're talking about Luffy's superpower. His big thing seems to be saying martyrdom is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big thing. That's a big thing for him, yeah. Because if you're a martyr, you can't be free.
Yeah.
Right? He's trying to So he's trying to free everybody. So
that's
his ideal.
That's a clip right there that you just said. If you a martyr, you can't be free. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Start printing up the t-shirts.
Get the t-shirts going. Stop the presses.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. So the next point I want to talk about, because we touched on a couple of these already in the conversation, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, and I want to talk about some of the real world parallels between One Piece and our world. Because again, we touched on a couple of them as they already are. But what else can you guys see?
Yeah, so
Indonesia seems to hate One Piece all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They banned the flag.
So
you know more about
fascinating.
this than I do, but
so it's so fascinating how quick this has happened. So so the Indonesian government, I guess I don't know that much about it, but apparently the people there have been protesting it and using straw hat flags to protest it instead of the Indonesian flag. Because that's the way of saying, no, we're not being nationalistic, because right now our nation sucks. Not the people, but the government. So to protest the government, we're going to fly the straw hat flag. Because we identify more with this idea than the idea of what Indonesia is now, is what I think they're trying to say.
Right.
We're being a collective under this idea.
We power scale the president of Indonesia to Luffy's punch. Here's how that
Can Luffy knock out the president of Indonesia? Here's a graph.
He punched someone so hard he becomes president. Can that happen?
Now,
is that
if he has as many hit points as this World Noble does that Luffy punches at Sabaody? No. And so what happened was the government has turned around and now they're like, yeah, go fly your straw hat flags. It's fine. And as of this recording, I don't know what's going to happen from there. I don't know if they're for real or what's going to happen there. It's weird. It's a weird, tense situation.
I heard
they could have maybe been like, hey, this is an unwinnable battle, and just fly where, or maybe they're like, just fly them, and then they're like, now we know where they all are.
Like, right. That's we don't know yet.
I can't tell if this is psyop or they're like, oh, surely this is ridiculous. Like,
it could be Admiral Akbar. It could be a trap. We don't know.
I heard inklings of and I'm sure many of the fans who are eagerly awaiting season 2 of the live action version of One Piece on Netflix, I've heard inklings recently that U.S. Congress's bill, the Screen Act, is targeting anime generally, like in general, because of anime like One Piece being highly political.
Yeah.
What do y'all think of that? Because that to me, that's deep. Like, because when I was a kid, if you were watching anime, you were way beyond the weird kid. Like, the weird kid in the 90s was watching, like, maybe Power Rangers. Like, that's like the closest they would get. If you were watching anime, you were the unknown weird kid way in the back of the class drawing. I'm literally describing myself in 6th grade.
When I was younger, I had a friend who was into Dragon Ball Z as much as I was, and nobody else liked it. And we would go off to like the side of the playground every day and just talk about it. And kids would throw rocks at us. And now I go to the gym and get compliments on my Spike Spiegel shirt.
Yeah,
it's a weird arc anime has had.
You go to the gym, and the same bullies who was making fun of kids for Dragon Ball Z are literally wearing shirts that say "training to go Super Saiyan." It's like that.
Yeah. What
kind of poser ass mess is that? Y'all was not in the trenches with me when Gohan was crying back in '98. Y'all wasn't there for that.
You guys want to hear my theory about this?
Yes.
I suspect all these motherfuckers were actually watching anime, and here's why I think this.
Oh, they was on the down low?
I think all these people
are cruising for anime, basically.
I think it's like the people who are homophobic. I straight up think all these people who bully people who outwardly liked anime, they all like DBZ. The reason I think this is, why does everybody know all the Gen 1 Pokemon? Like, who? Everybody knows.
That's deep.
Everybody plays Pokemon. How is Pokemon Go universally played to this day? It means by people our age.
That's
right? Deep. Did they get into it, 5 years ago? There's no fucking way. These people were watching Pokemon, playing the games when they were kids too, and they just were cowards. That's my guess. That's my
so you're telling me they were
hypothesis.
They were watching anime like it was a shameful act, like it was the Opus Dei act of anime. They were flogging themselves every time they did the Poke
must
rap.
know my shame.
or they saw all the kids who were watching it and they bullied them. Then they actually watched it and liked it, but then couldn't tell anybody because it already picked a side. That's my big hypothesis.
Yeah.
And this is not across the board, but I think this happened way more than people realize. Because kids are also dumb and don't have the emotional intelligence to say, like, my bad, I was wrong, Dragon Ball Z actually slaps. Like that. Right, but they don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah, but then they grow up into adults who still don't have that emotional intelligence. And then now that they're just like, they're these angry ass, many of the men who are just like, you know what? I don't care. I didn't like anime or none of that stupid stuff. Meanwhile, they're following 60 girls on Instagram with Pikachu tattoos.
Kids who couldn't admit they liked Pokemon grow up to be adults who stan Eren Yeager.
I
think I figured it out.
Actually.
Oh my goodness.
I liked Eren when he was a Chad. Then he got ruined.
Then he turned into a simp.
They made
Eren woke. They made him woke.
No, he turned into a simp. It's the
woke.
astronaut meme. He was a simp the whole time, you guys. He fucking told you from jump. I'm sorry, this is not about Attack on Titan. I told myself I'd restrain myself. To be fair, I wasn't the one who brought it up.
When we do a sequel episode to Attack on Titan, we'll bring you on for that one as well, so you can vent.
Can I just say? You know what? I will get something out here. I think this is what hurts me. This is what hurts me as an anime consumer.
Go off, King, real quick. Hit it.
When I put together, so on the Ball Not Super, I had a little fun thing. What's the greatest anime of all time poll for people, right?
Yes.
And when I Google what are the greatest animes of all time, things that come up: Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, great.
Yes.
Cowboy Bebop, great.
Dope.
Attack on Titan. Well, okay, listen. Even if you like Attack on Titan, In what world?
It's not Bebop.
I get hurt. I get hurt because I feel like this is a thing more in like in America. Because One Piece, me liking One Piece as much as I do, is I'm a basic bitch. Because the whole world, like in the world has known how good One Piece is. It's the highest selling manga of all time. The world has known how good this show is for 25 years. It's been the #1 manga every year, right? It's only in America where for some reason, well, I know, and actually no, not for some reason. Actually, this does tie in. I really think one of the reasons it took so long for America to get into One Piece is not just because it looks goofy, or because it looks silly, or because it's kind of slow in the beginning. I think the revolutionary aspect of it is an inherent part of why it didn't hit here as early as it did. Because when you're in the evil empire, when you're in the world government, it's a little hard to look at a show like this being like, hey, that evil empire you guys are in, it's kind of shitty, don't you think? And I think,
Marina,
especially, and if
the stormtroopers did nothing wrong, and neither did Frieza.
I think now it's a lot easier for us to swallow that fact. But I'm gonna go here, and you can edit this out if you want to. But when we were all so hyped about, when we were all backpatting ourselves about electing Obama, which is when One Piece was on the rise in the rest of the world.
Yeah,
we weren't ready to hear that shit. We didn't want to. You couldn't tell us, oh, we're the evil empire. What do you mean? We just elected.
You don't shoot the world government flag. We stand that flag.
Yeah,
we salute that flag.
Yeah, that's we
were on a leftist high at the time, so it was our relationship with the country was very different at the time. Yeah. So because you had Obama as president, so the ridiculousness of the conservative party couldn't have been farther away. So the perspectives of One Piece, they felt as ridiculous as they initially appear, because culturally at the time, these supervillains were still, they were very quiet. The conservatives that are loud and screaming and wearing, wearing like tribal hats and stuff and invading government buildings. These people were in their house seething and getting mad that a black man was doing a job in front of them on TV every day. Oh, the humanity.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure, Charles. I'm sure you heard this all the time during the 2009-2010 era. It's like, oh, America, we're post-racial now. We're post-racial now. I remember people used to say that for real on television.
That aggravated the shit out of me.
And no one touched them.
How
we're
are
post-racial now?
How are we post-racial? Have you heard what they were saying about Michelle Obama's arms? Like, this man can't wear a brown suit on TV. All of a sudden, we post-racial. Get out of here.
The brown suit thing was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean...
I think we have the administration we do now is because... Probably the primary reason is because the conservatives is taking vengeance onto the country for having a black man be president. Once. Yeah. One time.
Yeah. No, and I think that's why... I think the West... not just the West. I think America... Honestly, that's why we were so late to the party on One Piece, is because we were like, what do you mean? Everything's good. What's this whole thing about trying to overthrow the government? Great. The government's kind of, what do you mean he's gonna give us health care?
Yeah.
Not universal, but it's something, and
Luffy, you need to trust the process.
Luffy, come on.
You gotta trust the process.
Have you considered voting? Luffy.
Honestly, Luffy.
I bet Luffy's not ready to vote.
Luffy,
Luffy hasn't registered to vote. That's
Luffy, America has a black friend. We don't need you to be yelling at us like this. You're being too loud.
Listen, one of our 40 presidents is black. We're post-racial. Come on.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
Yes.
We're doing great.
America ate the post-racist devil fruit, and everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. We ate the post-racist devil fruit.
The post-racial devil fruit. Can we get some fan art of that, please?
We're a post-racial country. I hate the post-racial. Know me? I'm a post-racial society now.
Can we get some fan art of a post-racial devil fruit? Please don't make it look like Barack Obama's head. That's just weird.
I also want a t-shirt of Luffy shaking his fist and it says, Luigi did nothing wrong.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
No,
and someone will go, what's the connection? I'll be like, what isn't the connection?
What is a picture actually? The back of Luffy's shirt, it just says, Luigi was what you call a good start.
Honestly.
What I'm basically gathering from all this is that One Piece is the most punk rock piece of media ever made, in a way. At least the one that got the biggest.
But it looks the way it does, though. So that's to me, that's the beautiful dichotomy of it, right? It's like it looks like this goofy, cartoony, vibrant world, and then it's like actually you gotta overthrow the government.
You know,
it's like
pulls you in.
It's like how, you know, if you're gonna make a show that's like really, really plot complicated, it's gonna kind of have a simplistic angle to it, so it isn't just plot spaghetti. One Piece understands that it gives you bright colors and fun action sequences, and then it's like, hey, by the way, you should research anarcho-communism. We're just gonna slip that one toward you. You have nothing to lose but your chains. So
a real world parallel that because the aesthetic of One Piece, frankly, I think was a very intentional choice to turn off the wrong people to it, so that the wrong people didn't see the greater message. And the parallel it reminds me of from like my own family's history. Are you guys aware of like the history of cornrows for black people? Like
not really.
Okay, you're gonna like the story. So
yeah.
So are you familiar with it, Lawson?
I was gonna say yes, but then I don't think I could follow it up with a good explanation, so I'd rather hear you explain it.
All right, okay. So this isn't true of every single cornrow pattern, but when black people had to when black slaves in the South had to relay messages to each other, or we had to map escape routes, we would braid it into each other's hair.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah, and and cornrow patterns, like some of the ones that exist now, are literally map routes through plantations and escape routes through the United States in order to help people escape. So the parallel between that and One Piece for me is One Piece looks silly because the silliness, the packaging is designed to hide the fact that this thing is not silly. This thing is trying to teach the youth a way to escape oppression.
Yeah, kind of capoeira is kind of a similar thing as well.
It's
a martial art that looks like a dance.
Yes, it's very similar to that.
It's dance fighting, as they say on Bob's Burgers.
Yes, right, the dance fighting. Yeah, if they have a clip of that, I'll put that in too.
Which is also interesting because Sanji does capoeira and savate, actually, because he only kicks. He does not use his hands.
I didn't know
Sanji doesn't use his hands. His hands are only for cooking. So he will not use his hand. He'll never throw a punch. But he can use his hands to base, like when he does capoeira and stuff.
That's amazing. Well, it's for cooking and ladies, or cooking for the ladies.
Cooking and ladies, yeah, that is true. Cooking and ladies.
Talk about letting this man cook.
Yeah. Let that man cook, bro.
Let that man cook. Let that man cook. Before
that's got to be like an apron design, just Sanji, and it says "Let him cook."
Let him cook. Yeah,
100%.
If that doesn't exist, we gotta make that. So.
We gotta make. See, that's the thing. If we got a license to make merchandise for One Piece, then we could do that. I don't know. Maybe this episode might make it to Oda. We never know. Maybe he'll give us one. I don't know.
Oda Sensei, if you watch this, hit us up.
If you're watching this, we at Day Chaser Media, we are both old and new fans of One Piece. Give us the license to make stupid aprons, please.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up one last thing really quick also.
Yes.
I wanted to just point out. So, because the live action actually does a great job of this. There's a scene in season 1 of the live action where Luffy squares up with Arlong, one of the big bads of the arc, right? As Luffy's a collectivist. That's what I'm trying to get to here. And so in a lot of shonens, they have this thing where like the main character it sounds counterintuitive, but the main character has main character syndrome. You know what I mean? It's like Naruto is like, oh, I'm gonna be the ninja king and I gotta rinse everybody and it's all about me and my boyfriend Sasuke and no one else matters. And then in Bleach it's like, I'm the guy, I'm half this and half this, but also somehow half this and half this. I'm multitudes.
I'm half a lot of things.
I'm half 4 things somehow, and I'm gonna beat up the bad guys and all that. And so in the first season of live action, Arlong cuts his promo. That's my pro wrestler talk for saying he gives his monologue toward Luffy, where he's like, he basically like runs Luffy down. He's like, okay, you're not very smart. You can't use swords. You can't navigate a ship. You can't swim. So what can you do? And Luffy goes, I can defeat you, right?
Bro.
And it's cheesy for sure, right?
Bro.
But this theme goes through the whole thing where Luffy, he says this in the anime. He's like, I need Zoro because I can't use Zoro. I need Nami because I can't navigate. I need Sanji because I can't cook. I need all my crewmates because I can't do that stuff. And that is the heart of the reason that he's a collectivist, because he realizes his own shortcomings. Yeah, he is the main character, and he has this great power to bring joy to people and to activate them emotionally. But at the end of the day, he understands that he needs everybody as much as they need him. And to me, that's another beautiful aspect of Luffy's character. So
that is
just wanted to put that in there.
No, that is beautiful. And that is also an excellent real-world parallel, because a lot of the issue that we're going through right now is collectivism versus like billionaire individualism / dragon treasure hoarding greed. Like
our religious devotion to the concept of I should have all the money. So you will literally go, yeah, he has all the money, but that means that I could have all the money. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, dog.
No, it doesn't.
Same as like great man theory and all that stuff. It's all like nonsense.
It's exactly great man theory. Which is literally just propaganda to make you not join up with your neighbors and eat the cops. That's literally what it's.
Could y'all explain great man theory? Because I'm sure I've heard of it indirectly, but like I haven't heard the title of it directly. Could you explain it?
There's the great man theory, and there's a great people theory. Great man means there are men who are born that they are built different and that they push humanity beyond their limits into the future. And then great people theory goes, no, one guy gets the credit for all the necks he had to step on to get there, and it's that communities actually move things along. There's I think at Monticello in Thomas Jefferson's estate, that's a museum now, there's a statue of him that they put some light on, and it's elevated, and then they put light on the bottom, and it's a bunch of bricks with the names of all of his slaves that he's standing on. And it's meant to go, yeah, he's on the nickel, but you know how he got there? I'm not going to say you don't want to know, but you're not going to be happy once you know.
Yeah.
It's basically saying don't have main character syndrome for figures of history, basically. Because they're either building on knowledge that was given to them, tweaking knowledge that was given to them, or they just straight up stole it. So... Yeah.
Wow.
And to me, the difference is, there's the great men who, stood on people's necks, and then there's the great people who stood on people's shoulders. Right?
Yeah.
Who were propping them up. And I think there's a big difference between those types of people historically. And unfortunately, we have a lot of systems that reward the former. And that's really the problem.
How you get elite panic, like I was talking about. And they go, well, everyone I'm standing on is weaker. I'm the only one that really understands it. And also, they would eat me if I could, so let's send the dogs out to protect me. No.
It's like that lovely image.
You made an app. I don't like this.
It's like that lovely image I saw. It's kind of a meme too. It circulates on the internet every once in a while of the two different kind of leaders, where you'll have a bunch of people pulling a cart, and then there'll be a person sitting on the cart with a megaphone saying faster, faster, and then that's the one kind of leader, and the other kind of leader is in front of those people helping them pull the cart and saying this way, this way.
Yeah. It speaks true.
Yeah, it really does. And Luffy's definitely the second guy. He's the guy who leads, because he doesn't just lead from, with the power he has, because he does have amazing power, and it only grows. I mean, he has the devil fruit in the beginning, and then there's something called haki that he gets later along with everyone else. The power systems keep evolving, and then the scaling. But he doesn't lead with force, really. He uses force to enforce his ideals, but what he leads with is, like you said, collectivism. He creates, or at the very least, he uncovers value in other people, and he arms them with that value. That's such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
He arms people with their own autonomy.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I maybe listen to all this and you're like, oh, sorry, actually, Charles, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, in a way, like Day Chaser Media, the brand. That's honestly, because when I started this, I started it by myself. But honestly, that whole enrichment, that empowerment, that kind of integrity, that's the kind of thing I want to inspire in people. It's a very similar thing to what Luffy does. When Luffy meets a person, he digs into who they are to discover the beautiful life tools that they need to be their best selves. All we're doing in this is we go into media that people already love, that they already are speaking to and connect to, and we try to find the things in that media that will help them live their true self and see the beauty that's living inside of their own hearts. By re-examining the things that they already like. Like, it could be things like One Piece. It could be a video game like Kingdom Hearts teaching you about the power of friendship, or Dragon Ball Z teaching you that, you know, to be a pacifist is not wrong, but a day may come where you have to rise up to fight an enemy that nobody else can defeat, because your pacifist perspective is at the same time the greatest and most powerful tool available, because you don't fight like everybody else does. Stuff like that, for me personally, is especially valuable. And it's not spoken about enough, which leads to the last point. But before we get to the last point, I want to hear what you wanted to say, Lawson.
Oh yeah, no. Well, just real quick aside, Gohan's my other favorite shonen protagonist. Unsurprisingly, if you know anything about me, it's Luffy and then Gohan. But no, I was just gonna do a quick aside where you brought up hockey before, and, like, you know, maybe you listen to me, you know, talk about how great One Piece thematically and emotionally is, and you're like, well, I don't care about that. What about the magic system? Well, let me tell you, dear listener, do you like a hard magic system, like a soft magic system, or One Piece? They got both. Devil Fruit's a hard magic, and
I love a good
soft
power system. That's my.
Yeah.
I almost started a solo podcast where I just talk about power systems, and I was like, "This is a bad idea. I'm gonna run out very quickly."
We could do an episode about it. That'd be sick.
One day, if we could find the value in the life tool of, like, what is the life lesson that the power system of Nen can teach you, or Ki, or whatever it is that we're talking about, then maybe one day. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
sure.
the final point I want to touch on with the both of you is joy is a revolutionary act. How is One Piece confirming this fact?
There is a legend in One Piece that is referenced as early as, I think, the Skypiea arc, which is, I don't know, 18 years old now. There's a legendary figure known as Joy Boy. And Joy Boy, how much should I spoil about this?
Well, look, if it's one of the,
there's a lot.
You might look. They at the end of the episode, basically, like, this is the final segment.
Okay.
If they made it this far, then look. Well, I'll put it like this: spoiler alert. Thank you for watching. We about to ruin the show. Go.
Yeah. So Joy Boy was a legendary figure that we didn't, very mysterious. We didn't know anything about. People had theories. A big reveal happened a couple years ago in One Piece during Wano, which is this big climactic arc, this gigantic operatic arc where armies are clashing and everything's happening. And this is when Oda does a big reveal that our favorite rubber boy, in fact, did not eat a rubber fruit. He did not eat the rubber devil fruit. He ate the sun god fruits, and he is the reincarnation of the legendary Joy Boy figure. Now,
Devil Fruit was the friends we made along the way.
I have
that
vocally
is both epic and adorable.
Yeah, I have vocally always been very critical of the chosen one trope in media.
Yeah,
I think it is overdone and overplayed a lot. I really hated that Rey was a I hear a lot about those new Star Wars, but I really hated that Rey had to have a name in those new Star Wars, whatever. But the way they reveal this in One Piece is so awesome because it recontextualizes everything that's ever happened and everything that Luffy's ever done.
right.
Because Luffy, since he's shown up, coming out of that barrel, he comes out of the barrel in the greatest character introduction maybe ever, smiling, being like, "Yay, I'm not drowned and dead." He is the embodiment of joy.
Yes.
Wherever he goes, and that's what he brings to everybody around him. That's what he does, and so the reveal that he is, in fact, the reincarnated Joy Boy, in fact, a god of joy, if you would, and that's revealed in the middle of him overthrowing the most powerful tyrant we've seen to this point in the show, the most powerful pirate tyrant that he's had to deal with. And that's how he wins. He unlocks his final form. His, like, Super Saiyan God mode is pure, unadulterated joy.
Wow.
And that's his strongest form. And that's what he uses to rebel. And, most importantly, that is what the world government fears. They are terrified that Joy Boy is back. That's the last thing they ever wanted. They never wanted... Not only... Joy Boy was... His existence was buried from the world government. That's one thing that Robin knew about. Robin knew about Joy Boy, and she was, like, collecting data on it and stuff. That's why they went into the sky, and the sky people knew about it. Yes, in the show, they go into the fucking sky. Why aren't you guys watching One Piece out there? They go to the fucking sky, everybody. This is a great adventure. You gotta get on it. Anyway... That's when they first hear about it, and then later, Joy Boy shows up, and the world government they're just like, oh my god, what is happening? We thought this guy was dead, we didn't know, we were trying to find this guy so we could kill him again, and he's shown up, and we're fucked. This is really bad. This is the worst thing ever. And it's literally just like, it's Luffy, it's a 19-year-old boy laughing his ass off, fighting oppression. That's
joy is threatening to systems that want to drain you of it so that you are easier to conquer. Like
yes.
Kevin Smith was talking about George Lucas was giving a speech once, and George Lucas was talking about the difference between pleasure and joy. And that pleasure is like, I had some ice cream and it was great, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that joy is a shared experience. It's I gave back to my community, or I raised a child who is a loving part of this community ecosystem or whatever. It is something that must be shared with other people. So literally, if Luffy is the embodiment of joy, not just, oh boy, I'm the strongest, Naruto has that little bit of individualist streak where he just wants to be ninja president. But Luffy's like, if he is the embodiment of joy, he is then the embodiment of effective collectivism. Because I saw a tweet once that was, people do the quote tweet where they comment on somebody's, and one was like, well, you shouldn't be having fun when you're organizing. That means you're not doing any work. And someone was like, why can't I do both? Why can't I enjoy being a part of my community? And so when it gets tough, we're all there for each other. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the company of other people to do a thing, and maybe you shouldn't be laughing the entire time, but joy is necessary for movements. I've heard that a million times.
Yes.
It is absolutely necessary for collective action.
Yes. The character in the show named Dracul Mihawk, he's the guy that Roner Zoro, the coolest guy in the show, wants to defeat because he's the world's strongest swordsman. He comments about this about Luffy. This is back before we know any about this. This is like episode 200-ish. He says that boy has the most dangerous power in the world. Is he can make friends out of enemies and bring people together. It was before we knew the stuff we learned later. And the reason people don't just follow Luffy because he's the new strong guy who's going to punch the old strong guy. It's because of the way he makes them feel.
Yeah.
Because he goes into these communities. A lot of these communities are downtrodden. They're at their lowest point, and he brightens them up. He brings color to them, back to their lives, and he brings them hope and, of course, joy. And that is why these people believe in him so strongly, and that's what motivates them when they go. Again, like I said before, it's not just the main characters who are stronger when they're filled with motivation. It's the collective, the people. They are more motivated because of. That's why they're alive. They're chasing the joy that's been beaten out of them by oppression. And you said it perfectly, Alex. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with Robin. It's like the things that a human being is capable of when someone says to them, "I want to hear you say that you want to live." That's such a loving act that it is literally driving you more towards self-love and hence community. Because it's something reaching out across this chasm of painful narratives that have been built around you and going, "No, you matter because we matter and you are part of us. There is no us without you."
Yes. He says it to every one of his crewmates at some point. I should also point out, Robin started as an enemy. I should point this out. Robin started as a henchman
So
of
Luffy is
Crocodile.
de-radicalizing bad people out here.
Yeah.
Very Goku of him.
She started out she was the right-hand woman of the Crocodile, the first warlord we meet, who his whole thing is he tries to instigate a war. He does like a false flag operation to where he sends he basically tries to instigate a war is long and short of it. And
are you saying that it was an inside job?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is the people he ingratiates himself in the community, so the people think that he's a good pirate, like he's like helping them, right? Oh, because he works for the government, he must be one of the good ones, right? These are people who have been, they've been brainwashed because they're in the system, right? They don't know better.
Yeah, they've been.
And so he takes advantage of that.
Yeah,
they've been indoctrinated. So he's like, oh, he's gonna keep away the bad pirates, right? He's gonna keep. That's what he does. He keeps away the bad pirates, right? He's like, this is kind of fucked up, but he's like when you see like a black cop.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, no, I like, I'm not racist. I like, I love when black people are cops. That's great. I just, that's because they're protecting me. Yay. And so Robin starts off as an enemy.
Yeah.
And she never smiles. This is actually I will, even the One Piece fans out there, the big manga heads, go back and watch. I'm almost 100% sure Nico Robin never smiles until she's on the Straw Hat ship. And it's the first time she ever smiles. That's because she is literally wanting to die this whole time until she's on the crew. And it's the first time she ever experiences joy. Now Robin's not a very expressive person. She's a mature lady. She's been through she's seen the world. But I think she never smiles until she's on the Straw Hat ship.
Wow.
And then she does. And that explains why she loves them so much. So yeah.
Really quick, could I bare my soul to you guys? Because it's relevant to the episode.
Yeah.
So the last couple of weeks, I've been dealing with a very intense thing because my father died 2 weeks ago. And when I was with him the week before that, and he was in a very dark place emotionally. Not he died. He got sick. That's how he passed away. But he was in a very dark place emotionally. Oh, Lawson, I think you're muted. Did you mute yourself by accident?
No, I meant to. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just saw your head nodding. I didn't know. Anyway, okay. But yeah, so
yeah.
So my father was in a very dark place, and when I went to go see him, the point of contention for he and I, because we hadn't been speaking for a couple of years, the point of contention between the two of us was my dad. His priorities were not built around creating happiness for himself, and he didn't know how to give himself something new, or maybe not new, but something worthwhile to live for. And my dad, like all of my artistic talent, comes from my dad. Like everything. If you're watching the channel or watching this episode on YouTube, all of the art that you're seeing, like the set and everything, like the two figures and stuff, that is artistic talent that I inherited from my dad. And I tried to get my dad to invest in his art again because he hadn't drawn a picture in many years. So when he was finally on his deathbed, and I went over there and I was like, I wanted to bring him joy because he was a life of the party type person. He was the kind of person that was always very big and boisterous. But when it came to actually having the valuable things in life, which was self-love, that was something that he was never taught to have, and it was something that he lacked. And it really came to a head when in the last couple of weeks when he got sick. It contributed to how he neglected himself. The fact that he didn't feel like his life was worth anything. In fact, he didn't even want to tell me he was sick. I found out through the grapevine, through one of our family members. He didn't want to tell me because he didn't want me to live with the burden of it. I didn't view him as a burden in that way, but that's how he viewed himself, because he didn't experience joy. Like, he struggled with addiction and all of this. He didn't experience joy the way he should have, the way he deserved. And I look at the world as we experience it now, and I look at people like Donald Trump and all of this, and like look at the Nazi Party and their strategies. And part of their strategies was shock and awe. Part of it was to forcibly expose people to so many negative things that stacked and stacked and stacked that it robbed them from their ability to generate hope and to generate joy. And I don't use the word generate lightly. Like, the ability to create meaning in life and the ability to create happiness in life is a skill that you can learn even late in life, but it's something that you're supposed to be taught early. My dad didn't get that lesson, and he couldn't generate true joy in himself. So even when somebody like me tried to bring it into his life at the last minute, the way it translated was, the last thing I said to my dad was, "I love you, and you better pick up that phone," as a joke. That he laughed. That was literally the last laugh that he ever had. But for me, what was important is that he felt like even in that dark moment, somebody thought his life was meaningful enough to tell him a joke. That in that moment he was meaningful. His life mattered enough to make him smile and laugh one last time, and it was his last time to do that. And it was a difficult. It's been a difficult couple of weeks because I've had to deal with so much red tape just to get his ashes. Just to get his ashes taken care of the way that he wanted to, because when I talked to him about how he wanted to die many years ago, like what he wanted to do after he passed away, and his idea was, I want you to take my ashes and spread them to Atlantic City, like on the beach. Well, here's the thing. When my dad said that, he was not 100% serious. He was just musing, because that was the creative, artistic side of him coming out and saying this would be a lovely, artistic, creative thing to do. Because for him, Atlantic City represented a place where he was joyful. He took me there a couple of times. He would go there by himself. He would go there with friends, and he experienced joy and happiness, and he brought people there to share with them. But he didn't think he was worthy enough to actually experience it, which is why he was half joking. Well, I wasn't joking. When he told me that, I took it very seriously. So by the end of next week, when I get his ashes, I'm going to take them to Atlantic City and spread them on the beach, because my father is deserving of the joy that he was not taught to achieve in his own life. And those kinds of actions are revolutionary, because it's my way of helping my father rebel against the trauma that he had to live through his entire life. And he wasn't able to do that himself, but I am. And when it comes to all of this horrible stuff that is now literally targeting One Piece politically, the last thing that they want is a joy boy. The last thing that they want is people that are so happy that you can't break them. Because if you can't break them, you can't make them do whatever you want. You can't rebuild them into these automatons, these soulless beings who don't deserve their lives have value, which is what happened to is essentially what happened to my dad. He got broken down in a horrible way. So every time you decide, especially to the listeners, every time you decide to get up after you're done doom scrolling or updating yourself on what happens in the administration and this and that, and you're done doing the diligence and not turning your eyes away and looking at the children who are dying and suffering, Every time you do that and you go, okay, I respect their lives and I appreciate everything they're going through, and I've given my tithings, I've donated money, I've gone to the protests, I've posted the reels, I've done this and this and that, and the next thing you do is you choose to smile. That's not actually flying. That is not selfish. You shouldn't feel guilty about that. That is not flying, especially if your intention is not negative. It's not flying in the face of people who are suffering. You're smiling for the people who don't get to anymore. And the last thing that these people who are hurting all of us want is a bunch of happy people. They don't want joy boys. It's just like One Piece. They don't want joy boys because you can't trick people into investing into the greed. Like it's like this. How do you get, like, if the system of oppression is built on, in our case, capitalism, the way that you get people to participate in the system is you have to create scarcity. You have to create desire. You can't convince people who are too happy who are happy and believe that they have enough. If they believe that they have enough and they're experiencing joy, you can't make scarcity. The system dies. You can't oppress them.
Joy Boy does not give a fuck about Bitcoin.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right.
You can't sell him. He won't even read the pitch deck. He doesn't care. He's too happy.
He's too happy.
Yeah.
So again, joy is a revolutionary act. Luffy being the embodiment of joy, it falls right not only in line with the overall vision of One Piece, but to experience One Piece as a paradigm for how one can rebel against oppressive regimes like the ones that have risen and fallen throughout the world. If you choose to be happy, you are spitting in the face of everyone who wants to rob you of happiness, even if you have to do it after death.
Yeah.
That's my bit. That's my bit.
Yeah, that was beautiful, Charles, and that's why it's what Oda was able to accomplish with an anime transformation was everything you just said and everything we've been talking about. Again, and this is why when it happens in the ship, like, people were freaking out and all this, and they were loving it and all that. But at a narrative level, to me, it's the most impressive way to use an anime transformation that I can think of. I turned my main character into the embodiment of joy, and he was staring you in the face the whole time. He was this the entire series.
It's almost
and yet
like he's
we were
saying
all still surprised.
It's almost like he's saying that the joy was always in front of you, but now it's obvious.
It was. Yeah. It's so funny because
Luffy reaching out to all of us, basically.
Yes, it is.
It's beautiful because it's such an amazing turn, because the first thing that Luffy, every time he introduces himself, he says the same thing. I'm Luffy, I ate the rubber fruit, and I'm gonna be king of the pirates. And I believe that last thing, but that middle thing wasn't true. And not because he lied, he just didn't know himself. He didn't know himself. So yeah.
But he had.
Hey, Memphis is pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's good. It sounds like it's pretty good. I might watch it. I don't know. It's alright.
It's alright. It's fine. It's pretty good. It's like a B- of an anime.
B+ on a good day.
It's alright. Yeah, it's got some art arcs.
Yeah.
It's no soul leveling, but it's
it's no that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I'll tell you that.
I love reincarnated as a slime. That's a great.
I know. No shame.
Great show. Yeah. No, that's my slice of life. I need that show in my life. Yeah. I actually like soul leveling. For the listener, I like soul leveling, but that's why I don't feel bad shitting on it, because because it's great. It's just not. It's not. It's cool. It's cool. It's a cool show.
Yeah.
It's not very deep, but it's cool.
It's not deep. It's deep enough. It's like you watch Solo Leveling when you want to believe in yourself. You watch One Piece when you want to join others in believing in yourself.
Yeah.
When you want to believe in humanity, you watch One Piece.
There you go.
Yeah.
Community leveling, if you will.
Community leveling. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Wow, Alex. Wow.
Damn. Okay, we gotta end.
Nice.
That's the real One Piece. Community leveling.
Community leveling.
I ate the good of podcasting fruit.